Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. We are sitting in the Cryenne after 3 months and a lot of money. This car is fully operational, so I've just collected it from Elite Porsche and had a great talk with Matt and Graham there. Really appreciate everything they've done. They've got this car back to life. In December, this car was scrap value and now it is a fully working vehicle. They've test driven it. They think it's driving really, really well. I'm really excited to see the difference in what the car is like, because clearly in the back end of November and into December, this was a very, very poorly Cayenne. So is it going to feel faster? Is it going to feel stronger? I sure as hell hope so. But for now, we're in London in an SUV, which is not my favorite place to be. And so we've got to get out of London onto the M25 and then we can have some fun. But let's go with some first feelings about the Cryenne. So this has been a journey, and that's an understatement. So I knew I was prepared for some financial pain with this car, but I wasn't really preparing for a stretched timing chain. But we've managed to get it fixed, and this feels to me like a new car. It still smells like dog. I mean, that is something I'm gonna have to get sorted now that this car is mechanically back to normal. But I can't actually remember driving this car. I actually forgot how to open the fuel flap. It has been that long, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But I guess that's also quite a nice thing as well, that, where the hell am I going? But I think that's a nice thing as well, because it's like getting a new car, you know, for only £1,000. It's been so long since I've driven, you know, the Cayenne, a Porsche, you know, a twin turbocharged SUV. You know, I'm having to learn and familiarize myself with this vehicle all over again, which is really weird because I've owned this car since October. But if you think about it, I bought it in October, I had it for November, and then it was dead in December. So, you know, it's not a surprise that I can't remember driving it. And one thing I just absolutely love is the upgraded infotainment. The day after I had this installed, the car was dead. So, you know, it's an X-Tron's head unit and it's just big, it's really clear, the controls are awesome, and it makes the car feel much more modern. And I haven't actually been able to use it. So this is going to be my first official trip using my X-Tron's head unit. And I've got a working car. It's all coming up, Tom. God, driving in London is stressy. So what do we need to get done on the Cayenne? What's next? Well, the door has fixed itself. I don't know who actually fixed it, but it's working again, which is awesome. So that means there's kind of two things left, really. One, the roof, which I'm not going to touch. So it's just the parking sensors. The fronts are inconsistent and the rears are definitely broken. That's the only thing that's really left to do on this car, because I've kind of done everything else, sometimes involuntarily. But I've done it, the car's working. So, like, what's the plan for the Cayenne? What are we going to do next? And I think that's the big question. What am I going to do with it? Well, when I first got this car, one of the big things I wanted to do was take it down to Stuttgart and go to the Porsche Museum. And I definitely still want to do that. And because this has had so much work on it, I don't think I'm worried about the reliability anymore, because it's had so many different people poking and prodding and taking it apart and all that sort of stuff, that we've fixed so many different things that surely now that this car should be reliable. And I think if there was anything else that was going to be a problem, it would have raised its head. You know, like if there was unexplained fuel leaks, or the transmission was playing up, or the turbos were on their way out, I would know by now, because I've had so many different people look at it. And whilst no Cayenne can ever get a clean bill of health, but I'm not as worried about the Cayenne as I was, you know, in the past, because I've had so many different people look at it, and it's had so much work done and so much has come apart that this car, if it was in bad shape, I'd know. I think this could be the most reliable Cayenne 955 out there. And you may laugh, but think about it. This has had 2 different specialists look at it. It's had the engine in bits multiple times. It's had the bores scoped out. It's had a lot of preventative maintenance done. You know, even myself, I've done like the coil packs and servicing and the thermostat and some CPSs, so crankshaft position sensors. And, you know, and it's got a new timing chain and tensioners and guides and seals and pipes, a new intercooler. It's had so much done that, you know, I think this could easily do a trip to Stuttgart and back in a weekend. So why don't we do it? Why shouldn't I do that? You know, I'd love to go to see the Porsche Museum. I think they actually do have a 955 Turbo S there, probably in slightly better condition than this one, at least on the exterior anyway. But mechanically, I think this is in great shape. The only downside of having multiple people look at it is that, like, my chair isn't in the setting that I like. I don't know what setting that is. That's not my setting either. So yeah, I've got to get this car sort of reconfigured for my liking. So I think that's mission number 1, is get to Germany, go to Stuttgart, see what this is like on the Autobahn. I don't want to kind of go top speed, but see how it feels to go over 100 miles an hour in something this big. And then I don't know what to do. There's kind of 2 schools of thought in my head. One, this is a known entity now. I've done so much, and I've had so many people look at it that I feel like I know, you know, I know the car really, really well. And, you know, I need to probably treat it to a gearbox service at some point, but that's not critical. To keep it, run it, and maybe investigate overlanding it, making it a proper off-road monster. You know, 3-inch lift, you know, skid plates, all that sort of thing. But this is, you know, it's a rare car, the Turbo S. I mean, it would certainly be the only overland Turbo S in the country. Yeah, I missed you, Cryenne. I missed you. Sorry, I got distracted. Raw power, baby. But yes, I could do that. I could keep it. It's a known entity. I could modify it for the off-road. There's a bunch of things I could do. Or, you know, lots of other people are like, you should sell it. It's working. You know, you've not been terribly lucky with it. Get out whilst you still can. Both are very, very sensible. But I don't know what the right answer is. Should I keep this and run it for a while, see what it's like to run a Cayenne Turbo S as your daily? Expensive on fuel, I'd imagine. Or should I sell it and move it on and find something else? It's really hard to know what the right decision is. Because financially, you know, it's cost what it's cost now, and we'll go into the costings later on, and fucking spectacular is what they are. But that's happened now. That's been paid for, and it's working. So I'm almost not thinking about it. Yeah, I think let's get across, get to the services. I've already filled up with a little bit of petrol, but fuel prices in London are insane. It's 175p a litre for Shell Nitro V Plus, whatever the hell they call it these days, the slightly more expensive fuel. So yeah, let's do that, and then we can talk about how much of a hole this has made in my finances, because boy howdy was this not cheap. Old parts. So Elite were awesome enough to leave the old parts, so there's a whole bunch of things. The only thing they didn't give me back was the intercooler, but I don't really care about that. So we've got things like the old guides, which don't look in that bad shape. So when I was speaking to Matt and the team, the guides and the tensioners and stuff were all right, but it was just the chain itself which had stretched. Weighs a bit, but yeah, look, there's the chain. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with all these parts. Probably just put them in the bin, but if you've got any other better ideas, let me know. We should probably talk about the financials. So I put a little poll out for people to kind of predict how much it cost. The results were, I think, pretty spot on. So some people picked £1,500, and for those of you that picked that option, I love you. I wish it was that cheap, but unfortunately it wasn't. So what I had to have done was the timing chain had to be replaced, the tensioners, the guides, some gaskets, seals, hoses, and I had to have an intercooler replaced. And I'll talk about more of that in a second. But the bill itself came to, including all parts and labour and stuff, as £5,092.90. Holy shit, that's a big bill. And it's just because it's just such a labour intensive job, and some of the parts are really expensive, specifically the intercooler. That alone was £1,200. It's a Porsche only part. There's a unique one for the Cayenne Turbo S, so you can't just get the cheaper turbo one. So like £1,200 of that was just one part. So, you know, I think that's probably the best outcome I could have expected. I really appreciate everything that Matt and Graham put in, all the efforts, because this was a heck of a job and they didn't have to take it on, they did. And so I'd like to do a massive shout out to Elite Porsche. If you have a Cayenne and you need it and you're in the sort of South Essex or London area, go to Elite Porsche, because they're one of the few people that I talked to that didn't initially suck their teeth about working on the Cayenne. They were like, just basically, yep, bring it in. We know what needs to be done, and we'll let you know. And they did. And it's taken a while because it's a big job. You know, this is, you know, you have to strip the entire front end off. So that's a huge amount of work that needs to be done. And they got it done. The car feels fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting out of traffic and actually seeing how the car feels. But yeah, it's just a big number, and it's going to take a while for me to financially recover from this one. I don't know exactly what I want to do next with the car, but I definitely want to drive it because I've not driven it enough. I've owned it for, what, 5 months now, or 6 months, and it's been off the road for 3. I need to do some driving on this car, and then we'll figure out what's next with this vehicle. But I need to go wash my hands because they're covered in oil, and we need to get back on the road before traffic gets even worse. And we need to get this car and test how fast it really is, because I've got a hunch that it's faster than I even remember because it's in such good condition. Let's get back on the road. So it's the next day, as you can tell from the change of clothes and the beautiful weather, which definitely justifies wearing some shorts. The drive home was dull because it was nose to nose traffic, which is why I didn't record it. But what I can tell you is this car feels absolutely rock solid. It is beautifully comfortable, but the engine feels very, very strong. Transmission feels great, and it's just a lovely car to be in. I'm still just as much in love with the car as I was way back in October, in spite of all the unexpected costs. So for that £5,000, we fixed a bunch of issues. First of all, we've had an oil leak at the top of this engine for as long as I've had the car. That was caused by essentially the valve covers not being correctly sealed. So we've got all new gaskets there sorting that problem, which is awesome. It stops sort of that oil burning smell that was, because the oil was basically sort of leaking everywhere. Then we've had obviously the engine stripped down. So the timing chain, the guides, and the timing chain itself have all been replaced. It makes sense to do them at the same time, because even though the guides and the tensioners were in good shape, there's just, you know, there's no point taking the risk. And a big shout out to Elite, because they actually cleaned up and spray painted the timing cover as well, which makes it just really look nice. You can't really see it down here, but from the pictures it looks awesome. We've also had the intercooler replaced because that was damaged. I don't know if that was damaged when I went off-road, but that could have been really contributing to the drop performance and maybe the boost leak. We've also had the intake plenum replaced. That was essentially cracked, which is a really common issue you know, with the intake plenums for the Cayenne Turbo. It's just, you know, old plastic, it gets brittle, it cracks, lets air in, and essentially causes a bit of a boost leak as well. It's had another oil and filter change, and it's had a coolant change as well. So I know that this engine is just in fantastic condition, and I'm just looking forward to getting it on the road, doing some good miles in it, and just feeling the performance of my Cayenne Turbo S. I'm so glad that the Cryenne is back with this. This has been 3 months of just stress and anxiety, trying to figure out if the car is fixable, who's going to fix it, how much it's going to cost, is it all scrap and I've lost all my money. So to be here 3 months later with a car that feels fantastic and, you know, is absolute 100% ready to go for whatever I need to do is such a massive relief. And I'd also like to say thank you to you all for all the likes and comments in this journey with Cryenne. It's really helped me kind of get through, and the support that you've all given me has been absolutely fantastic. And I'd also like to say a massive shout out to Graham and Matt from Elite Porsche. They 100% save the day with the Cryenne. And so if you have any form of Porsche need, go to them. They are fantastic and they were able to kind of get your car sorted. So really big thank you to them. But what is next for the Cryenne? That is the big question that I'm going to have to answer over the next couple of weeks. What do I want to do with it? I've got two options. I can keep it for the foreseeable, maybe convert it into an overland 4x4 beast, go off to dark side developments, get it, you know, a 3-inch lift, 18-inch wheels, maybe get the intercoolers relocated, etc., etc., etc. Or I can move it on and find something else, maybe something a little bit more exotic. I don't know, because it doesn't feel like I've actually owned this car long enough, even though it's been 6 months, which in YouTube world feels like forever. I've only had it for like 2.5. So part of me is thinking, let's keep it, let's take it down to Stuttgart, let's see how we go. But also the other part of me is like, well, it's in fantastic condition, so that's a great time to sell it. If you're interested in the Cayenne, ping me at project40cars@gmail.com or on the same on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got something interesting that perhaps we can work as Part X, let me know. Or maybe I should just get something crazy, something monumentally stupid, perhaps more unreliable, more exotic, faster, and just more dangerous all round. I don't know, but I will find out. And when I know, you'll know. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you consider liking and subscribing. And with that, I'm gonna get back in my Cayenne and I'll see you down the road.